Welcome to Troopers Travels. I'm in Halifax and my first venture there. So I'm just going to show you what's behind me. You can see that. So this is the Halifax Gibbit. I'll try and spell it, but I think it's double B-E-T. Halifax Gibbit, but I'm here for 3 days. This is my first one I'm going to look at, and I'll just tell you a bit more about it. See you in a minute. The famous Gibbit, Halifax Gibbit. I hope I'm pronouncing that properly. That's the axe, that's the replica. That's where you put your head, and that's where you used to chop it off. A bit of a rough area, this area, but it looks at it. Fit for thieves anyway. Oh, look at mess around here. But that's your Halifax Gibbit. Let's take a look at it, shall we then? That's your information board. We'll have some information about this now. Let's have a quick look. I'll step back a bit and do it for me. It might be better for people to see it. So that's your Halifax Gibbit. This was the early guillotine used in Halifax. It was a forerunner before the guillotine. It was revised to replace the axe and sword, so they could behead people without a sword or an axe. And it was done in public on market days. So if you were basically found guilty on a market day, you were executed on the same day. If not, you were in stocks until next market day, and then you went. So the wooden structure, it's 15 feet high, and the axe-shaped blade is on the top. The original blade is in the Bankfield Museum. I'll try and get to that and show you that. But these are your slippy steps, and a lot of people hanging around here, isn't there? You can tell that on an evening, so it's probably best to come at this time of day. But that's your axe, and that's where you put your head. Well, you had to put your head there, you got no choice. Steady on these steps. So this is only a replica, this, but this is the original base. But then they've recreated it as it stands. So a little bit more information about this Halifax Gibbit. I hope I'm pronouncing it right, double B-E-T. Halifax was only town at the time who had this Gibbit law. The Gibbit law can be traced back to the 1280 and was traced back to 1280, introduced by the Earl of Warrens. The Gibbet was put in place to stop cattle thieves, and later in cloth stealers as late as 1650. First execution was 1286. The last execution was 1650. The stone base was preserved in the 1840s, and this replica was erected in 1974. But as you can see, there's lots of stuff around here, isn't there? Nice autumn colours, isn't there? It's estimated that over 100 people were executed. On that board there's about 52, I believe. But got an interesting story about this place, actually. So one guy escaped. Called him what was his name? That's a good question. John Lacey in 1617, and the Gibbit law were, if before the acts come down, if you escaped, you could get over Ebble River, which was a stream bounded down that side. Then you were a free man. However, this guy who did it got away. Halifax people didn't forget him, and 7 years later he returned, and this time he was caught and he was executed. And there's a nearby pub what I want to go to. Well, I'll take some pictures anyway, a pint. It's a bit rough and ready, but I don't mind it being here before. And that's called the Running Man. That's how I got his name, as the Running Man. The last victims, obviously, the last people were executed, the two was Anthony Mitchell and John Wilkinson. They were found guilty of stealing 16 yards of reset coloured kersey from Samuel Colbeck of Worley, valued at £1 shilling per yard, and that was 19 of April 1650. So they were the last two executed. It's a bit harrowing, isn't it, here? Yeah, a bit rough and ready. I don't feel safe around here, if I'm honest, but we'll carry on with what we're talking about. They're also found guilty of stealing 2 colt horses from John Cushworth. Total all were 5 and 8 shillings, so that's £560 in today's money. They were executed the same day as it was market day. If it wasn't market day, like I said, you got a reprieve until the next market day, but I think this will be 3 a week. So 3 days you were stuck in stocks and then basically sent to thing. But the Gibbit law stated that if you were able to get your head up, a blade fell and it scraped across Ebble Brook, then it could be freed. One such person, obviously, was John Lacey, what got away with it, but 7 years later he got caught again. Only a little in this, but yeah. Take a look at that one, Bushka. But we'll try and get that blade. I think it's in Bankfield Museum, and we're all going to try and get to visit that at some stage. Possibly it's Monday. But that is, yeah, Halifax Gibbit. As you can see, all autumn leaves and old rubbish. There's all over. Smackheads have been here. But it's a freebie, isn't it? It's a freebie, this one. Rebuilt in conjunction with his shop fitters James Chambers, I think it's 1970s. Original stone wall, that's your original base, and that's your replica with your replica axe. Proceeded prior to guillotine this, and not made by the French guillotine guy, and it's Gillette. Not very good, is it? It's a bit spooky. I came down here early, but there were a couple of undesirable people here. Not disrespect, but there's no way I'm taking my camera out when there's people knocking about. And that's your information board. And all your people what died. John Wilkinson, Anthony Mitchell. I'll explain about them later, from Sowerby. And that's the original blade. Not very sharp, is it? So it does look like that, doesn't it? That's the original blade.